All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Home Leak Detection, offered in English and Spanish. Before we jump into it, we want to make sure that everyone has the correct audio settings. Right now, everyone is hearing the audio in English, so I'm going to put up some instructions for how to switch on to Spanish. And Luke Sayers, one of today's presenters, will take a minute to read them out loud.
Si desea escuchar la presentación en español, seleccione y haga clic en el botón para español. Si no elige un idioma, automáticamente se escuchará la presentación en inglés. Si desea hacer una pregunta, escríbala en el Q&A y el intérprete hará la pregunta.
Great, thank you, Luke. And we will be pausing after each slide for just a couple of seconds to allow the translator to catch up. A couple other logistics to go over before we get started. This webinar is being recorded, which means you can sit back and relax without worrying about taking any notes, because we will send out a link to the recording as well as resources mentioned during the presentation. So by participating in the webinar, you do consent to being in a webinar that is recorded. For questions, please type them into the Q&A box, and we will break halfway through and have time at the end to answer those. For those listening in Spanish, please type your questions, and our translator will translate them into English. We have an upcoming free conference I wanted to let everyone know about that you might be interested in, taking place every Tuesday in April. This conference, the Water Conservation Showcase, is in its 18th year, and the schedule is packed with sessions from topics such as emerging technology, water legislation, and opportunities for connecting with nature through citizen science and watershed restoration. If any of these topics pique your interest, you can register at waterconservationshowcase.com. Now for some introductions and an overview of today's presentation. I'm Jolene Bertetto. I've been with EBMUD's Water Conservation Department for 7 years, where I manage education and outreach campaigns and also conduct home and landscaping consultations. We'll also hear today from Luke Sayers. Luke has been with EBMUD for 5 years and manages EBMUD's online portal and our Flowmeter rebate program, which we'll hear more about in today's presentation. And translating for us today is Rolando Gonzalez. Rolando has been with EBMUD for 13 years and manages our programs for commercial customers. Rolando is also well-versed in home leak detection. And then our overview today is up here on the screen. We'll be starting off going over why do leaks matter? Why is this something you should care about? And then we'll look at how to register and view your water use through EBMUD's online portal, where you can track household water use and set up leak alerts. And then we'll go over how to use EBMUD's free home survey kit, which includes instructions for walking through your home and identifying and repairing some common household leaks. We'll also go through how to read your water meter and then end with more information about EBMUD's Flowmeter rebate. Right now I am going to turn off my video. I just wanted a chance to say hi to everyone, but I also now would like us to focus on the presentation. So to get started, let's learn more about how water is used for an average home. For single-family homes, 34% of water is used outdoors in the landscape, and 66% is used indoors, as you can see on this graph. For multifamily properties, that's what we call apartments, it's a little bit of a different picture. There's going to be less landscaping, so 85% is indoors and 15% is outdoors. So for a single-family residential customer, you're going to want to check for leaks both indoors and outdoors. And then for multifamily, most likely your leak is going to be indoors with your plumbing or other devices. And checking for leaks is just one part of making sure that water is being used efficiently to ensure that we have water to meet all of our needs now and also into an uncertain future. This picture on the left shows a common way that water is often wasted outdoors. I'm sure we've all seen this picture just walking around our neighborhoods. Here, the sprinklers are misting and water is overflowing onto the sidewalk and street where it will pick up pollutants before flowing down the storm drains and out to the bay. So in addition to checking this irrigation system for leaks, these sprinklers need to be adjusted to water the landscape and not the sidewalk. So why do leaks matter? Well, on average, leaks account for almost 8 gallons of water per person per day. This graph on the screen is from a recent study comparing water use in 1999 to 2016. And overall, water use has gone down during this time period, but leaks continue to be an issue. And you can see here, outlined in red, where the leaks are. And leaks are using more water than the bathtub and the dishwasher. In this study, 32% of homes had leak rates that were greater than the average listed here. A leak can be up to 600 gallons per household per day and can be a serious problem. Most leaks, however, are going to be much lower in volume, but it can still add up over time, and we estimate that about 1 in 4 households has a leak, accounting for 10 to 20% of total water use. So the takeaway is that leaks really are very common. This table shows responses from households who reported to EBMUD that they had leaks. Of the 527 households reporting, 42% of those leaks were for outdoor watering systems, and 24% were from toilets. I point out this specifically because irrigation and toilets over and over really are the main offenders. When I do home and landscaping consultations, that usually is what we find. So if you can check these first, then you have a good chance of finding the leak. Now I'm going to pass things over to Luke, who's going to go more into why leaks matter and also show us how to use EBMUD's online portal for tracking water use.
Great, thank you, Jolene. This slide shows some different leak sizes and the related water cost. As you can see in the left-hand bar, the majority of leaks are smaller. Those under 5 gallons per hour make up nearly 70% of the leaks found. A leak in this range might cost a single family customer $20 every 2 months. Larger leaks are still common enough, and a leak in the 5 to 10 gallon per hour range might add $75 to that same bill. This extra cost only represents the cost of water, and in many cases there may be additional charges for wastewater, sewer, or energy if the leak included hot water. The image in the bottom corner shows what a leak of around 3 to 4 gallons per hour would look like. To increase your ability to be notified of a leak, we recommend account holders log into our portal to confirm contact information, review communication preferences, and view their water use. Let's take a look at our online customer portal. Before using our online portal, you will need to create an EBMUD ID and link it to your account. This is a fairly straightforward process with 3 steps. Visit ebmud.com/account setup for step-by-step directions. When your account is linked and you are logged on, you can access a variety of services from manage your account. Use the Contact Info tab to review and update your contact information. We recommend keeping this information current so you can receive important communications, including leak alerts and notices of service outages. Use the Statements and Payments tabs to view PDFs of bills and past payments. The Usage tab shows information about water used every billing period. The consumption column in the middle shows how much water was used every billing period in units of 100 cubic feet. 100 cubic feet, or CCF for short, is equal to 748 gallons. This tab also shows water used in gallons per day. The typical single family customer uses between 35 and 50 gallons per day indoors. 35 to 50 gallons per person per day indoors. Click on the My Water Report link to view more water consumption information. Next. This is the landing page for My Water Reports. Here are some of the top features at this page. You can track your usage, go through a step-by-step process to find and resolve leaks, and under the Settings tab, you can review your communication preferences. Since we're focused on leaks today, let's take a look at the features available at the Track Your Water Use tab. At Track Usage, you can learn about how water is used at your property and identify unusual water use. If you hover your computer mouse over the bill icons in the graph, you can view water use details such as gallons used per day and CCF used per billing period. You can use the slider at the bottom to scroll through past water use. And the grips above the slider allow you to change the length of time shown in the chart. With a quick adjustment, you can easily switch from viewing 2 years to the past 5 years. This can help show seasonal changes in water use. As you can see here, the water use is fairly similar, but also you can see periods of high water use, which happened in the last summer for this account. This is a great tool for helping understand water use, and there are even more ways we can dig deeper to find more leaks more quickly. To look further into your water use at your property, a few things you can do. One, use your meter. Learn how to read your meter and take notes of readings when you suspect you have a leak. Jolene will show you more about this later. Second, we are piloting meters that can record water use automatically every hour. Around 5% of our meters have this technology. You can log in online to view if you have one of these meters. Third, you can install Flowmeters to monitor your water use automatically. Let's start on our customer portal and look at leak data more closely. Here's an example of water use steadily increasing overall billing periods, even through the winter. This is a good sign there could be a leak. If you see a concerning trend like this, consider taking a few meter reads to help identify the leak. If you see the hourly tab at the top, click on it to take a closer look at any potential leaks. In the hourly tab, we see a similar picture, steadily increasing water use. There is a menu of several buttons allowing you to choose between several different views of time. You can use a day view, week, 2 months, or a year. You can still use the slider and the grips to change and make whatever time period you like. In this example, we're looking at the year view, showing a year of data. As you can see in the bar graph, the system flags continuous use as potential leak with orange bars. Let's look at another example. Here's another example at a 2-month time period, where each bar in the chart represents a day's water use. In this case, we can see mostly normal use, including regular irrigation schedule. However, in early March, water use began to increase on a daily basis. And the system has flagged some bars orange, indicating a potential leak. Let's take a closer look by clicking on the Day tab. Looking at water use for the day, we can see orange bars throughout, averaging around 25 gallons per hour. As you can see in the hours from midnight to 8, there was continuous use when in many cases there shouldn't be much use at all. This is a great indication that there is a continuous leak at the property. This process of identifying the leak is basically the same whether you're looking at the data online or taking meter reads from your meter. Let's take a look at the next slide. This slide shows some examples of our leak alerts you could receive. The top alert is an email you might receive. And the lower alert is one you might see if you log into our portal, so that we can help identify that for you right away if you do log in. This concludes the overview of our online portal and looking at water use data. Let's take a moment to take some questions.
Great, thank you, Luke. We do have a couple of questions that came in. One participant has said that EBMUD's meter is set at full open and is blowing out my seals and pipes. So it sounds like they may have a pressure issue. They're wondering about who they can contact to get the pressure turned down.
Typically, there's not an easy option for turning down pressure in individual settings. Our contact center, our customer service, the number on your bill is a great place to start if you have some that might be able to put you in touch with someone if you have pressure questions. It's also possible to install a pressure controlling device on your property that would help eliminate the pressure issues you might be experiencing.
Great, thank you. And the number there is 1-866-403-2683. That is customer service. Okay, we've got some other questions coming in. Oh, somebody else is asking, who can I call to come out and check for leaks? So we have a lot of tools and resources available to help all of our customers check for your own leaks. So we do ask that you attempt to do that first, and I'll be going over EBMUD's free home survey kit, which is a kit that comes with illustrated step-by-step instructions and also other tools to help you. But if you do need somebody else to assist, and maybe it's a leak that you can't find, we do home consultations. So you can call the main EBMUD customer service line or email Luke and myself. Our contact information will be at the end, and one of our colleagues or ourselves will come on out and assist you. That's in non-shelter-in-place times. Right now, we are doing phone and video consultations, so we'll try to set that up and see if we can find your leak. Okay, we have some more questions, and this is great because we really allotted plenty of time for questions. Somebody is wondering, they said they logged into their account, but they don't seem to have access to the water use portal. Is that something you've come across before, Luke? And how can you help people get access?
I would say if you've logged in and the My Water Report button that you're seeing isn't there, reach out to me. My contact information will be on the last slide, or water conservation at ebmud.com is another way to get in touch with me or other water conservation staff. And we can take a look and see if there's something specific going on. But we should be able to get that addressed for you.
Great. So everybody who does have an EBMUD account should have access to that online portal. We have another question that says that the hourly view is only open to people in the Smart Meter pilot program, which is correct. They're wondering, is there a way to get into this? Because it does look like an easy way to detect leaks.
There isn't currently. That was a program. All of those accounts were just kind of selected at random. So it's something the district is looking into in the future, potentially rolling out this sort of service more district-wide, but it's a large capital investment. So it's something we're looking into at this time. I will discuss later in this presentation about the Flowmeter rebate program, which is a great option for kind of getting a similar technology, something that offers many of the similar benefits, and putting that in at your own property.
Okay, great. And so we have another question that says, my meter is read only once every 2 months. How can I know the water usage each day? And that's really a great transition into the second half of this presentation, because we're going to go over how you can actually manually read your water meter to track your own water use whenever you like. And then we'll also look at those flow meters that are available to provide you more real-time water use data. So with that, I'm going to save some of these other questions because we're going to go over them here in the second part of this presentation. Okay, so we just heard from Luke all about the online portal, where there is a leak resolution tool that can digitally walk you through the different areas of your home to check for leaks. But another option is to order EBMUD's free home survey kit, available at ebmud.com/store. And in the follow-up email to this webinar, I'll be sure to include a link to that item. So this free kit includes illustrated step-by-step instructions for reading your water meter. It includes dye tablets for testing for toilet leaks and a flow bag for measuring the volume of faucets and shower heads. It also comes with a worksheet so that you can mail back results to EBMUD. On the worksheet, if you found out that your shower heads and faucets were using a lot of water, you can request free efficient shower heads and faucet aerators that we'll send you in the mail. And you can also request to have a consultation with one of EBMUD's water conservation representatives. Here's a picture of what that flow bag looks like over here on the left. Simply, to use it, you just simply open the bag and you place it under the fixture that you want to test. You turn on the water for 5 seconds, allowing the bag to fill, and then you turn off the water and hold the bag up to see where the water line lands. And the bag will then show you how many gallons per minute that fixture uses. The bag also has markings on it to show you how much water you could be saving by installing high-efficiency faucet, aerators, and shower heads. An efficient shower head, for example, is a shower head that uses 1.8 gallons per minute or less, but shower heads using up to 5 gallons per minute are very common. And if you think about it, let's say you have a 5 gallon per minute shower head and you take a 10-minute shower, well, you've already used 50 gallons of water. And that's considered, average water use for every way that we use water. So a 1.8 gallon per minute shower head would only use 18 gallons, so you can really see that it makes a big difference by installing those devices. So saving water in the shower also saves energy, because energy is needed to heat water. So by installing those efficient devices, you could see savings on your water and energy bill. And here's a picture of what some of those look like. So if needed, EBMUD will mail you a high-efficiency shower head, kitchen faucet aerator, and a bathroom aerator. Ours are just standard models, but there are many different options available that you can purchase at hardware stores if you want to match the decor of your bathroom or kitchen. You just have to look for the WaterSense label when shopping, and this label lets you know that the devices do meet those efficiency standards. Now, the first part of the home survey kit for testing for leaks is learning how to read your water meter, because the meter will tell you whether or not water is being used on your property. If you are not actively using water, but the meter is turning, then most likely you have a leak. Your water meter is usually found in the front of your home, either near the edge of your yard or sometimes in the sidewalk or at the end of your driveway. These are actually pictures that I took from my own front yard to show what the meter looks like. It's located in a cement box, usually has a EBMUD logo on top of it, and you'll need a screwdriver or something that you can use as leverage to pry the cement lid off, because it can be pretty heavy. So inside is your water meter. There is another black plastic lid you can see in this picture that you'll need to flip open to see the actual meter dial. And so there are some smart meters, but if you don't have a smart meter, and if you have a smart meter, it will have some wires attached to it. So you do just have to be careful that you're not going to disconnect anything when flipping off the top there. But the majority of meters are not smart meters, and as mentioned, they are read every 2 months by an EBMUD meter reader. The meter readers are EBMUD employees, and they're really fast. They swing by and pop off the lid and record the numbers on the meter to determine how much water has been used since the last read. And that is what determines your water bill. But you can actually read your meter at any time to track your own water use. There are 2 types of meters. a straight reading water meter and a round reading water meter. This is a picture of a straight reading meter. And now reading the meters can be a little confusing because they measure water in cubic feet, but once you know the conversion to gallons, it is pretty easy. So to convert to gallons, you multiply the read by 7.48. For this meter, the read is 8,171 cubic feet. And customers are billed in units of 100 cubic feet, so on your water bill, the meter read recorded by the EBMUD meter reader would leave off the last 2 digits, and the read would be 81. The first thing to look for when reading your meter is the leak indicator, right here. In this picture, the leak indicator is a red triangle, but sometimes it's shaped like a gear or kind of like a snowflake, and if the leak indicator is rotating, that is a giveaway that water is being used and that you may have a leak. If you were to, for example, go turn on your hose and then come back and look at the meter, this red triangle would be spinning very fast, and so would the hand on the dial. But the leak indicator can pick up smaller leaks when the hand on the dial might be moving too slow to notice it right away. Another way to test for leaks is to do what is called the pin test, where you line up a pin or something straight with the hand on the dial, and then return later to see if the hand moved. Now, with smartphones, it's even easier. Another option is to just take a picture of the meter to record where the hand is, and then return an hour later without using any water and see if that hand moved. This picture shows the round reading meters. For these meters, the 1-foot dial is the leak indicator. To read the meter, you start with the 100,000 dial right here and then read to the right. So in this example, the read would be 8 because the small hand here has not gotten to the 9 just yet, then 0, 3, 3, 2. The read on the bill would leave off the last 2 numbers and be 803. Even if you don't have a leak, reading your meter between bills is a really easy way to track water use and make sure that you're not going to be surprised by any high usage. And the first step is that you want to write down the date and the meter read like we just went over. Then you can come back the following day, week, or month and write down the new meter read. You subtract the initial reading from the second reading and then convert the answer to gallons. And then what we like to do is divide the gallons used by the number of days since the last read to calculate the average gallons per day being used. So I hope how to read your meter made sense to everyone. It really is a great tool because you can run all your irrigation, read your meter, run your whole irrigation, come back and read it again, and instantly know how much water is used every time, say, your sprinklers come on. So now it's quiz time to wake everyone up and test your meter reading skills. So I hope you are ready for a little math. And here is the quiz scenario. Okay, at night before bed, you read your water meter. This top picture on the right is your meter before bed. And then in the morning, before using any water, you check the meter again and record the new read. The bottom picture shows the read in the morning. So the quiz question is, how many gallons of water were used overnight? And I'm going to launch a poll. It's multiple choice, so you can select the answer, rounded to the nearest gallon. And I'll give everyone about 30 seconds to do the math here. Okay, so I just launched the poll. If you can figure out the quiz question and select your answer. Uh-oh, only one person has selected the answer so far. I'm going to hope this means everyone's just looking for a calculator. I'm going to give everyone about 10 more seconds. All right, okay. We only had one person answer the quiz question, but there were a lot more people than that on this webinar. So I'm just going to take that to mean that everyone doesn't feel like doing math on a rainy evening, which is okay. Reading your meter can be a little confusing at first. In the links that I send out afterwards, I will be sure to send out to everyone instructions that are, they take you step by step how to go over, what we just did. Oh, and a few people said the poll disappeared from their screen. I'm not sure why that would have happened. Wait, I'm going to relaunch it. Another chance if anybody wants to enter the poll. I guess it timed out on us. Maybe it wasn't meant to be for math questions. All right, we got a few more people answering. And this is really, I'm just trying to make leak detection here a little bit more fun for everyone, because I know it can be a pretty dry topic. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's end that poll and move on and see what that answer was. So here were the results. And let's take a look at the answers. So doing the math here, you would take that second read minus the first read, which equals 390 cubic feet. Then we want to convert that into gallons. So we multiply it by 7.48, and we have our answer, 2,917 gallons. That's how much was used overnight by this scenario here. So if you got that answer right, then you can go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back. And wow, that would be a pretty serious leak. Or maybe whoever this was forgot that the sprinklers were actually scheduled to come on early in the morning, and the sprinklers were using a lot more water than they were expecting. So again, you can do this exercise whenever you are trying to understand how much water something in your home uses, or you're just trying to track your water use in between the EBMUD bills. Okay, so you have a leak. What now? Well, the next step is isolating whether or not the leak is indoors or outdoors. This picture shows what the water pipes and EBMUD infrastructure looks like. In the road is what is called the main line, and from the main line is a pipe connected to your water meter. From the meter is what is called a house line, and that then connects to your home. So EBMUD maintains the main line up to the water meter, but the pipes beyond the meter and on the other side of the dotted red line are the responsibility of the property or homeowner. So to narrow down the leak location, what you can do is find your house shutoff valve. Usually this valve is located next to the house, as seen in this picture, next to the foundation or the hose bib. So if you turn this off, you will shut off water to the inside of your home. Then come back and look at your water meter again. If you still see the leak indicator moving, then you know that the leak is outdoors because no water is going into the home, but something is still using water. An outdoor leak can be irrigation or the house line. So now we're going to go over how to test and repair some common household leaks that really only take about 10 minutes to check. March 15th through the 21st is actually National Fix a Leak Week, and in honor of Fix a Leak Week, we are having a photo contest I wanted to let everyone know about. So if you submit a photo of your leak check and tag @EBMUD on Twitter or Facebook, or email a picture to waterconservation@ebmud.com, you can be entered to win an EBMUD water bottle. So the first 10-minute leak test is testing for toilet leaks, which we know are very common. To test for a toilet leak, place a few drops of food coloring or a dye tablet from the home survey kit into the tank of the toilet. If the water in the bowl changes color, then you know that you have a leak. And we aren't talking about a leak or a puddle on the floor, but a leak in the tank of your toilet that is leaking into the bowl, causing the tank to refill itself when not in use. What could be leaking is the toilet flapper. this picture shows what the flapper ball might look like. When you flush the toilet, the connector chain pulls up the flapper ball and the tank water rushes into the toilet bowl. If the flapper ball loses its seal, which just happens over time, then the tank water will constantly be leaking into the bowl when not being flushed, and so it'll be refilling itself and using more water. And below that is a picture of testing for the toilet leak. So again, you put the food coloring or dye tablets into the tank. All the water in the tank will change color, and then when you return, if you see color in the bowl, even just a little bit, like in this picture, then you may need to replace that flapper ball. You can purchase these at most hardware stores, but be sure to get one that matches the make and model of your toilet for the best fit and results. And sometimes you do hear these leaks. You might be watching TV or something and then hear the toilet flush when not being used, a phantom flush. That means that most likely it is this flapper leak. But not all leaks are loud enough to hear, which is why we recommend the dye test. And then if the flapper ball is not the problem, another common toilet problem is that the water level is too high. So check and see if the water level keeps draining into the overflow tube, and that's a giveaway. And if that's happening, you can adjust the water level pretty easily. And you'll want to set the fill level at the line marked on the inside of the toilet. Usually there's a line, but not always. So if there's not a line, you'll want to set the water level about 1/2 inch below the overflow tube. And these leaks can be intermittent or constant, and a constant overflow leak can use up to 100 gallons per hour, so it can get pretty serious. Then another area to check is the shower head. So you'll want to tighten shower head connections with a wrench, and you can use pipe tape. You'll also want to check the shower diverter. The diverter is the mechanism that reroutes the water from the bathtub faucet to your shower head. And they just wear out over time, and it may also need to be replaced. Next, check all of your faucets. You can check for dripping or worn gaskets or valves, and see if they might benefit from an aerator. And then move outdoors and check your irrigation. If you remember at the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned that irrigation is the most likely area for a leak. So checking your irrigation is really going to require you to visually inspect your system and check for broken spray heads, leaking sprinklers or hose connections. If you have an irrigation controller, you can switch it to manual mode and then manually run each station for a few minutes while you check for puddles and broken equipment, or maybe some spray heads that are now blocked by bushes or obstructed. And then when your irrigation turns off, you'll want to check the irrigation valves. These are the valves that turn on and off the sprinklers. They're also used for drip irrigation too. And valves can just fail due to electrical problems or can have debris preventing them from closing. Other common leaks include hot water heaters. Hot water tanks most often leak due to a faulty pressure relief valve. You can find this by looking for evidence of water in the discharge pipe, or if you can't find that, checking to see if the discharge pipe is warm a few feet away from the tank output. And then pools can also leak, and you'll want to record the water level and check back 24 hours to see how much it's lowered. And pool leaks, I mentioned those because they can often go unnoticed if there's an automatic refill valve, and you might not notice until you get that high bill. So now I'm going to pass things back to Luke to go over EBMUD's Flowmeter Rebate to see if this is the right option for you. And then I see lots of questions coming in, so we'll have time to answer those at the end.
Thanks, Jolene, for reviewing all of that information, how to read your meter, looking for leaks. Another option we have, people are asking about being able to get more information about water use at their property. Flowmeter is newer kind of off-the-shelf consumer product you can buy that you can often either install yourself or have a plumber install to get more information about water use at your property. They usually have an online or app-based interface. You often need to have a smartphone or a tablet to install one of these, as well as have some internet Wi-Fi at the location in order for the device to send the information to you. These devices, many of them have been tested and they do accurately measure water use. They, in many cases, will let you see water use by the minute and set up leak alerts. After our rebate, the general price range for these can be between the $100 to $600 price range. Installation may add to that as well if you choose a model that needs to be installed by a plumber. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the Flowmeter types. So here in this picture, we have the same picture of the infrastructure at your property, including your house line and the EBMUD meter. One option is to get an inline flow meter. If you can click next, the inline flow meter will measure part of the system. As you can see, it's installed in this picture near the house. These devices generally do need to be protected from the elements, and the inline flow meters typically are plugged into an electrical source as well. And they would be measuring flow from the point where you install it and beyond, any pipes beyond that point. However, they're not necessarily measuring any flow between where you install it and the water meter. So you do lose that information. However, they can have some bonuses. You don't have to worry about batteries, and they can offer a remote shut-off option if you want to automatically shut off water for you, or if you want to shut it off if you see a leak when you're not at home. Let's take a look at the on-meter variety. These flow meters measure your entire system. They're battery powered. The batteries can often last a year or two or more. They may just use common batteries that you could replace yourself fairly easily. They are easier to install. A lot of homeowners are just installing these themselves. They wouldn't necessarily require a plumber to come out and help you install these. Just strap it on and follow the instructions from within the app you download to your smartphone or tablet. If you do install one of these, regardless if you use our rebate or not, we do require that you use our participation agreement to install that device in the meter box. Next slide, please. These are some examples of flow meters on the market, just to give you a visual. This isn't all of them. Our current Flowmeter pilot program could include more than these products, but just to give you a visual kind of understanding of what's out there. At the top, you have some of those that are cut in line and installed in your plumbing. And then below, we have some of the ones that are on meter devices that are installed at your meter box. And they just strap on the meter there. The on-meter technology is not measuring the physical water moving through the pipes like the ones that are cut into the pipe themselves. Instead, they use magnetic sensors to read the movement of the meter, much in the same way your meter dial is working in its own way. Both of these, as I mentioned, can be accurate. If you'd like access to more water use data, both these technologies are great, and both types qualify for our Flowmeter rebate. So a little bit more about our Flowmeter pilot program. This program will pay for up to 50% of the cost of the device, or $200, whichever is less. It does require a 2-year agreement to have it installed in order to get that rebate and to share the data with EBMUD. The vendors will, the Flowmeter company themselves does that data, can do that data sharing. And As I mentioned, the on-meter flow meters will require that participation agreement. If you'd like to learn more about these, visit ebmud.com/rebates, and you'll see a link to our Flowmeter rebate program. In the images here, you can see a graph with minute-by-minute water use. So those bars show water use at 1026 and 2027. And then we have one example of what it looks like with one of these devices installed on a meter. All right, in summary, we reviewed a lot here today. Really encourage everyone to register to look at their water use online at ebmud.com, look at how to track their water use and look for leaks. If you are suspecting that you have a leak or just to see how efficient your fixtures are, you can order our home survey kit from the store. And reading your meter is a great tool to have. Regardless of whether or not the meter type that you have, it can really be the simplest and easiest way to see what's going on in that moment at your property. Again, irrigation and toilet leaks are common, and they're a great place to start, and not to overlook those, since they are common and can be relatively easy to fix in some cases. And again, please apply for the Flowmeter rebate. Take a look at those details. It's a great way to learn more and keep conserving water.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you, Luke, for that summary. So we still have about 15 minutes left. If there are any other questions, we're here to answer them. And I see one question that came in while Luke was talking. That's about toilets, wondering how many gallons does one flush use? So the answer there is really that it varies. So although toilets all look pretty much alike, the amount of water released by flushing really is going to depend on the toilet's age and manufacturer. So older toilets used 3.5 gallons per flush or even more than that. And then in 1994, legislation required toilets to use 1.6 gallons per flush or less. And then more recently, there has been some improvement in the technology, and now efficient toilets use 1.28 gallons per flush or less. So by upgrading your toilet, that is a way that you can save water indoors by upgrading to one of those efficient models. Any other questions today? Okay, we have one about the Flowmeter for Luke. So will EBMUD help install the Flowmeter if I purchase it?
EBMUD does not install flow meters. So again, a lot of the on-meter ones, if you take a look at the websites of the companies that are selling these, you can get a good idea for how the complexity of installing them before you purchase it. Otherwise, and especially for those that are in line, those you may want to work with a plumber. For anyone who doesn't really have this plumbing skills to really cut into pipe and make all those necessary connections, it is kind of a specific skill set. But the on-meter type, a lot of customers are just installing those themselves, and the companies have customer support to help walk you through if you have any issues as well.
Great, thank you, Luke. And we do have a question about COVID, wondering, are consumers using more water now in general because of COVID? And this is something that we will be analyzing. Luke, do you have any insight about that now?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a bump when the shelter-in-place orders went in, and more water use shifted from, those toilet flushes that would have happened in the office are now happening at home. I think, I hate to quote a number off the cuff here. Feel free to reach out to us with this contact information. I can try to get more information on that.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions today? I think that may have been all of them. But I want to leave room if there's any more. And let's see, okay, a good last question to end on is, will this leak presentation be available on the EBMUD website? So we will be adding this recording to our video gallery, and I'll also be sending out the recording so you can watch it at your convenience and take notes if needed, as well as links that we mentioned. So links to the Flowmeter Rebate page, and also how to order that free home survey kit and access the Home Water Report online portal. So with that, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We hope you are ready to go check for some leaks. Happy Fix a Leak Week to everyone. And if you could please take a minute to fill out our survey when you close out of this webinar. It's really valuable for us to get that feedback when we're planning future events. Take care.